Thank you so much for your amazing concert. It was a real pleasure to watch you on stage with Anya. And my first question is, what struck you the most about Anya that you are doing a second tour with her?
She's really become a good friend. She and Adam both, her brother, and the band. It's a good chemistry. The mere fact that we had such a good time the last time, we only did, 2-3 dates maybe? And I told Adam, her brother, I said, it's her manager as well, I said, why don't we do this again, but an acoustic set, where we don't have to hook any keyboards up, any electronics. And they thought it was a great idea. So they put it together, and it turned out to be even more fun than last time, But I think just the fact that it was such a good chemistry last time, I just wanted to do it again in a different type of setting this time, and it worked. It really worked.
So I read that you've seen her wearing your T-shirt. What was she singing in that video, or was that a picture?
It was actually a video. She was singing and sitting at a piano, playing the piano. And a lot of my fans had reached out to me and said, Frank, this lady is wearing your T-shirt. You got to check her out. She can sing, blah, blah, blah. Because I'm always checking out talent out there and trying to expose it, So I had all of my fans and my friends. I just said, find her. Do not stop till you find her. Somebody get me in touch with her. It took almost a week, but it worked. They found her, and they got us in touch. We sent emails to her and her manager. She threw the email away. She deleted the email, didn't believe it. But Adam, thank God for Adam, followed up on the email and saw that it was legitimate. So that's how it all started.
It's a nice story. So you get back to Poland again. And
all because she wore my T-shirt with my name on it.
That's a good way. Actually, my friend mentioned that maybe she would start wearing, YouTube T-shirt or something like that.
Hey, that's not a bad idea.
Maybe then Bono would find her.
That's right. Yeah. Not a bad idea.
But you get back to Europe a lot. Are there any specific reasons for that?
Well, I won't say that I'm famous, but I will say I'm really popular. And I'm really popular in Europe. I'm really, really popular in Europe, especially the Netherlands. And now as I see here in Poland, I didn't realize I had such a fan base here. I knew I had fans here because of Buckshot LaFunk with Branford Marsalis, and the song Another Day. I knew I had fans, but I didn't know I had that many fans. Every place we've played, it's been full. And I really have to thank Adam for that, because if it wasn't for Adam taking the chance on all of this, I would never know just how popular I am here. It's such an appreciation for the music, and they seem to appreciate me, which humbles me, because I really had no idea. I knew to some degree, but I had no idea it was like this. I was a guest artist on a group from Poland, on their CD, is a group called Sofa. And I think the song was called Don't Run Away, or something like that. And in fact, I'm going to play that song on my radio show. Yeah, thank you for reminding me of that. Yes. And they told me, and this was quite a few years before meeting Anya. They told me that I had such a following here. And they wanted to try to make some things happen, but I don't know what happened. It just never came about. But to get here and see it, yeah, it's shocking. It's shocking. Europe has such an appreciation for true music. Nowadays the stuff that's played on mainstream radio it's more of an art form to me. It's not really music. So, but I come here and I feel really appreciated. America, I do have a lot of fans in America, but it's so political and so syndicated in so many different places. I find myself playing shows. Yeah, I do. But I don't see myself on a broad. I'm not on a broad scale in America, like like the mainstream artists are. But it doesn't bother me, because I still work a lot. I play a lot in different places, and the people are there. They show up. It's the people that are in the seats of power that don't get it. Power and influence. They're the ones that you would think they would keep their ears to the ground, but they don't. People have all the power. I say it all the time. They have all the power.
Well, going back in time, do you remember albums that shaped you the most, your musical taste?
Ooh, we'll be here a long time.
I can imagine.
Oh, I'll name a few. Okay. Herbie Hancock's Headhunters was one. back in 73. I was 3 years old. Innovisions, Stevie Wonder, 73. Talking Book, Stevie Wonder, 72. Donny Hathaway Live, 1973. Patrice Rushen, Shout It Out, 1977. Before the Dawn, 1975. Patrice Rushen. George Duke, pretty much anything he did. Pretty much anything Herbie and Patrice did, too. Then there was pretty much anything by the Spinners. You know, Parliament, the Motor Booty Affair, and they had, you know, George Clinton was out. He was crazy. Oh, my God, so many records. Peebo Bryson, that's the album Peebo. Aretha Franklin, Live at the Fillmore West. Aretha Franklin, Amazing Grace. Aretha Franklin, what is the name of that record she did with This Masquerade? The Masquerade Is Over Till You Come Back to Me. I think it was called Let Me In Your Life, I think was the name of the album. These are albums that shaped me. Natalie Cole, Inseparable, 1976. Just so much. So much music. I mean, Oscar Peterson, We Get Requests. Was that around 1965? Something like that. Ramsey Lewis, Earth, Wind & Fire, Sun Goddess, 1974. It's Ramsey Lewis. Pretty much anything by Ramsey Lewis, Earth, Wind & Fire. I can go on all night. I can. I mean, Tequila Mockingbird, Ramsey Lewis, 1977, I think. Yeah, Mr. Hands, Herbie Hancock, 1980. I can go on all night. Extensions of a Man, 1973, Donny Hathaway. See, when I was a kid, I used to read the album covers. I didn't want to read the little kid books. I read record credits. I read album credits, the years that they would come out. I read, I was so fascinated by what was called record players back then. Not so much turntables, but record players, where I would go to the turntable and I would watch it turn. And I was a little kid just learning to crawl, you know. And my cousins and my aunts, you know, they were young back then. They thought I was crazy. They said, something's wrong with Frank. But my grandmother would say, y'all better leave Frankie alone because he's going to shock the world one day. She used to say that. And now I'm here in Poland.
Well, you were a calm child then. It was enough, you know, to give you a record and leave you with the music.
Oh, yeah. That's all I needed. I can tell you one thing for a fact. In 76, Stevie Wonder put out Songs in the Key of Life. And my mother went into the hospital. Actually, in 76, it was one of my favorite albums as a kid. In 78, my sister was born. My mother had my aunt watching over us because she had to go to the hospital, and we were little kids. We didn't need to be in the hospital. And my mother told my aunt, she said, just play this record here for Frank. It'll calm him down. And it was Songs in the Key of Life. And I think it was side 3. Yeah. And she was right. She put that record on and would just play that record. It would just stay on all day, all night. Because I was worried about my mother in the hospital. And it's Mother's Day tomorrow in America. Isn't that funny?
Were you lucky enough to meet many of the people that you mentioned, your inspirations?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Philip Bailey from Earth, Wind & Fire was the first person to ever take me out of the country. That was in 19 anything is a long time ago now. What was that? 1993. Yeah, 1993, I believe it was, 94. Philip Bailey took me to Japan. And I often went to Japan with him for a few years. I went to Japan with Philip, but it was always the winter time. It was cold. And Philip was one. Tina Marie, I remember listening to an album called Wild and Peaceful when I was about 9. I think it came out in 79. And I remember living in Philadelphia, and I talked to Tina on the phone. I was doing a recording session for a friend of mine who was her musical director at the time. And we were in Philly. She was in L.A. And this is in 1992, early 92. And Tina told me, she said, Frank, if you ever make it to L.A. and need a job, call me. I'll always give you a job. And she had never heard me play. She had never heard me sing. But just on a recommendation of her musical director who lived in Philly, she hired me. What happened was I had signed a deal with Motown. I left Philadelphia at the age of 22, November 9th, 1992. And I moved to Los Angeles on a deal with Motown. And the deal went sour after maybe 2 or 3 years. And I needed work. And I called Tina. She remembered exactly who I was and instantly gave me a job. She was a woman of her word. She gave me a job. And Tina was the first person to hire me in California. And I remember like yesterday. It was New Year's Eve, 1992, going into 93. That was my first job in Los Angeles, thanks to Tina Marie. Branford Marcellus was another one I met. I met Branford when I was in middle school. No, I met his brother, Winton, and his father, Ellis, not knowing that, and this was middle school, not knowing I was going to meet Branford and become like a brother to him, years later. So he had a record that I listened to a lot called Royal Garden Blues. I think it came out around 1981 or 82 for the Columbia label. Stevie Wonder, George Benson, Herbie Hancock. I've had the chance to meet all these people. Shaka Khan, I toured with Shaka. I grew up listening to her. Just many people. I've become good friends with these people. It's an honor for me to be on the same bill with them now. We're playing festivals and my name is right next to theirs. I'm blown away sometimes. The times where I become discouraged, I just look at some of those flyers that I've collected over the years, and they bring me back to reality that I'm really on the stage with these people, Yeah, I'm on the same bill with these guys now. So, yeah, I've had a chance to meet a lot of them.
Well, you also met Kenny Gamble and Leon Huff, and did that help you in perfecting your songwriting skills?
Actually, I think the experience with them is what really impacted me, just to be around those guys. They had me on payroll, and I would get paid whether I came in the studio or not, If they needed me, I got paid. If they didn't need me to come in, I still got paid. They treated me well. Kenny Gamble and Leon Huff treated me very, very well as a session musician. And just to watch them, I'll tell you, what I really enjoyed so much with working with Gamble and Huff, they had the original tapes from recordings in the early 70s sitting in their basement. In the basement of Philadelphia International Records. And I literally moved down the street where I could just walk to work every day. And Mr. Gamble had to go in the basement and search for some of those tapes. And he invited me and some friends, some musician friends that were young, up in the studio hanging out. He invited us down there to the basement with him. We went to that basement, and there were so many boxes and crates of unreleased Gamble and Huff records, all pressed up, ready to go, packaged and everything, but never distributed. And he told me I could have my pick of the litter. And yes, I went home with a couple of crates. I would go down the street, drop them off, go right back to the studio, grab some more, drop them off. Yeah, yes. Kenny Gamble and Leon Huff. They were really cool to work with. They were so cool to work with. And I was honored to work with Eddie Levert, the OJs. I worked with them before ever even meeting Gamble and Huff. And, they were signed to Philadelphia International. But I worked with Eddie Levert and the OJs, Levert, the group Levert, and then the young group that came up under them called the Rude Boys. I was the Rude Boys musical director. Eddie Levert was like the father of the whole tour. And I didn't realize after that tour I was going to go and work with the label that he had been signed to for so many years. It's funny how things work. It's so funny how things work.
And to talk more about your songwriting process, what does it look like, and do you write many songs these days?
I haven't written a song in a while. I have to be honest. I have not written a song in a while. I'm kind of at a dead spot at the moment. I've been focusing more on live because people had been saying that they haven't seen me live, and I figured, well, let me put out some live projects. If they can't get to the show to hear it, then let me get to them. So my last 3 albums have been live records. The Living Room is a live record. Live in Johannesburg is a live trio record. Both of those are trio records. And Live at the Bitter End, Remembering Donny Hathaway, is a live solo record. So I've been trying to put more of my soul on plastic, as they say now, CDs, and get that to the people. And in doing so, I just don't know what direction I want to go in regarding studio. I just don't know what I want to do yet. But I do really all of my own writing. I don't really collaborate much with people. I had a really bad experience when I was at Motown. I was working with a producer who presented a song to me and asked me to record it. And I began working on this recording, but someone at Motown pulled me to the side and said, "Frank, you don't want to do this song." Come to find out, the song, it was a sample in this song. And I mean, it was so noticeable, though. But I didn't know the song. So they played on my innocence. I really didn't know. They played on my ignorance. And they showed me this song, and they played the whole song for me. And I was like, oh, no. Okay, that's it. This guy's going to get me a lawsuit. So, yeah, I've been doing it myself now since, and this is like 19 anything is a long time ago. This is around 1992. And I've been just doing it myself all this time. So all of my records, everything's written by me except for this last CD. And I think one or two tunes on the ones before, but my whole catalog is me. It's all me.
You have such a wide perspective on the music business, working in major labels, independent labels, and also having a campaign on Kickstarter.
Well, the Bitter End album, yeah.
What would be your advice to young musicians that are starting their journey?
I would say to know the game. It's really not a business, it's a game. Learn the game, play it well. Win or lose, you'll know if you're broke at the end of the game. Count your own money, learn your value, learn your value, build your fan base, do what it takes within reason to build your fan base and to know your fan base. You really have to be connected with the people, because at the end of the day, the people are the ones who buy the records. Record companies don't buy records. Record companies buy people. They don't buy records. I would say build your brand, stay close to social media. Don't be in denial. If you need to go back to the drawing board and tighten up your records, do that. Don't be in denial. And don't take the business so personal. Don't take it so personal. A lot of booking agents, clubs, they don't really want to deal directly with the artists in most cases, because artists are so passionate and personal about their music that they don't see the business. Don't be so personal with it. If the business is not right, don't be afraid to say no and walk away. If somebody's throwing a deal at you and it's not cool, stand your ground. If it doesn't work out, then it just wasn't meant. Go on to the next club and try it again. Sometimes you just can't take no for an answer. And then sometimes it's okay to say no. Be discerning. You got to be discerning. If a deal is not good, don't waste your time on it. Money you can make over and over again, and I say this all the time to my own teenagers. Money you can make over and over again, but time you will never, never, never get back. You won't be 15 again. You won't be 25 again. Don't waste your time on something that's not worth it. It's not worth giving the time to. And for me, it was record labels. I wasted so much time at Columbia. I wasted so much time at Motown. And I wasted time with another label. They were so bad, I won't even mention them. They won't get any of this airtime. And I figure, I look at things from the eyes of the public. With Columbia being a major white label, Motown being a major black label, and his other label being an indie label, where else is there to go? I'd been there, done that, so I wasn't going to make a career of chasing labels. I figured if the Isley Brothers can start their own label and start their own brand and get out there and just get distribution and push their own stuff, then why can't I? I look at Parliament, George Clinton. George Clinton had Parliament and Funkadelic, right? Parliament and Funkadelic, if you think about it, it's the same group of people. Two different names signed to two different labels at the same time. George Clinton was a genius. He's still a genius. Now, he had Parliament over at Mercury, Casablanca, right? The Polygram group at the time. And, he had the gimmick with the spaceships, and on stage you see the man with the diaper playing guitar. You got Sir Nose Devoid of Funk with the nose, and yeah. But it was funk, a whole different style of funk. But then you got Funkadelic, which is a rhythm section, playing funk. No gimmicks, just funk. Two different labels, same group, two different names, same time. That's genius. And it taught me, why should I have boundaries? Don't put boundaries on yourself. Try to learn as many different styles of music as you can. Just enjoy the ride. Enjoy the ride. Don't pay attention to what the next man is doing. Stay focused on what you're doing, and look at the examples that were set before us, and take this business and beat it up. Beat it up. Make the best of it for you. Be concerned about what you need for you, and you won't become discouraged. I promise you.
You mentioned your last record, Remembering Donny Hathaway. Mm-hmm. What drives you the most to play his music to audience and also to create this album?
Well, I have been getting a lot of calls from people about doing tributes to Donny. And people have always told me that my voice was the perfect combination, to them rather, the perfect combination of Stevie's and Donny's. And then with a hint of George Benson. But if they only knew my history, I come from a family of singers, and I have an aunt that's a gospel singer who lives between Cleveland, Ohio, which is where I'm from, and Paris, France. Her name is Liz McComb. If you hear Liz, you'll see where I got the voice from. It just so happens that I came up in the same surroundings that Hathaway and Liz came up in, you know, gospel, blues, rock. And some of everything was played in the house when I was growing up, and Donny was one of those people. Donny's voice struck me from the time I was a little boy, and I didn't even know what he looked like, to be honest with you. I had never seen him perform live. I'd never seen him play. I just knew his voice. And later as a child, I got the chance to see what he looked like. Being called so much to do tributes, and then everybody asking me to do his music, I listened to the voice of the people. And it just so happened that the Bitter End, which is a club in New York, the oldest rock club in New York, asked me to do an album there. And this is the same place that Donny Hathaway did Donny Hathaway Live in '72, which is a mixture of performances from the Bitter End in New York and the Troubadour in Los Angeles, or West Hollywood, California. So I quickly jumped on it. I said, yes, I'll do this album. I didn't want to tell him no. I said yes, because you don't know if you're going to get that opportunity again. I'll figure out how to do it later. I told him yes. And then when I walked away, I said, how in the world am I going to do this record? Because I have no backing, no financial backing, no funding. Everything that I do is literally out of my pocket. There's no booking agent, no management, nothing. It's all me. And I said, where am I going to find the money to bring musicians to New York and put them in these high hotels? So I called one of my mentors, George Benson. And I asked George, I said, George, how am I going to do this record? First thing he said is, do you need some money? I said, no, I didn't call you for no money. I just called for advice. How do I do this record? He said, well, I tell you what you should do. You need to get your recorder, the same recorder that you recorded live in Johannesburg with, and take it right to the Bitter End, hook it up to the board, and record this record by yourself. He said, think about it. Donny Hathaway never released an album of his music, just him and a piano. Doesn't exist. And if it does, Atlantic Records is holding back. And he said, do this recording, record Donny's music, and own that master. He said, just do it with you and the piano and own that master. Nobody could take that master recording from you. And he said, if there's ever a place you want to do a tribute to Donny, that's the place and time. And I was like, wow, spoken from a true legend. And come to find out, from his own mouth to my ears, he said he was there in that room when Donny did his record. And it was recorded in '71, released in '72. He said he was there when it happened. It's like, wow, I got to do it like that. I have to do it. Sure enough, he was right, because it's getting a lot of attention. And I find it mighty funny that Atlantic Records is releasing Live at the Bitter End 1971. That's what it's called. And I don't know if I should take that as a slap in the face or as a compliment, because they weren't thinking about Donny's Live at the Bitter End material until I released this record. So I'm going to look at the cup half full and take it as a compliment. That's what I'm going to do. Yeah. So there's a two vinyl album set. It's called Donny Hathaway Live at the Bitter End. Bouncing off of my title, Frank McComb Live at the Bitter End. But his is Donny Hathaway Live at the Bitter End 1971. That's cute. But they weren't thinking about no Bitter End until I put this record out. So I will take that as a compliment. Thank you, Atlantic Records. Thank you very much.
And did you also talk about it with Laila Hathaway?
Yeah, Laila and I talked about this months before I even recorded the album. And she thought it was a great idea. She said, man, if there's anybody else that can pull it, it's you. And she told me that on the phone. She seemed to be honored that I was doing this record. Laila's cool people. We talk quite a bit. I haven't spoken to her in a while. But yeah, we speak quite a bit. In fact, we worked together quite a few times. We went to Japan together. We went to Oakland together. Washington, D.C. We did the reopening. There's a place called the Howard Theater in Washington, D.C. And they rebuilt the place, reopened the place. And George Duke, may he rest in peace, was the musical director for this concert. It's the last time I worked with Duke before he died. Yeah, so Laila, she and I worked together with him on that project.
On your website, there's a section Moments with pictures.
Yeah.
So many great artists
Wow.
like Whitney Houston.
Whitney, Bobby, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I thought about moments in your career. If it's even possible that you could choose one moment, that would be, the most memorable one.
Wow. Let me see. There's quite a few of those moments. I don't even know where to begin. I would have to name a couple. Maybe the day I met Stevie Wonder. I met Stevie on my birthday, July 15, there we go again, 19 anything was a long time ago. Oh man, 1993. It was July 15, 1993. I turned 23. Motown was throwing a little party for me that I wasn't supposed to know about really, but I knew about it. Somebody leaked it to me. So while they were up on the 19th floor setting up, I was on the 17th floor in the main offices. I was in the president's office and I'm sitting at a piano. And the piano is facing the window. And I'm looking at the Hollywood sign and all these mountains and stuff, so my back is to the door. And I was singing the song Love, Love, Love by Donny Hathaway. And I was always somewhere at the piano singing and playing. And there's a part where in the chorus where another voice comes in, like a higher voice comes in. And I'm sitting there and I'm singing, and this other voice comes in, my hands come off the piano. And I look back behind me, and there's Stevie sitting on the floor with his legs crossed, chilling. I don't even know how long he had been in the room. So I said, "You Stevie Wonder." Wow. He said, "I know." And starts laughing, right? So he gets up from the gets up from the floor and walks to the piano with no help. None. And he said, "Man, I got this song for you. I want you to check this song out, man. Check this out." And he sits at the piano and starts singing this song. And I was like, "Oh man, this is killing. You thought of me?" He said, "Yeah, I thought of you, man. I thought of you. We should do this song." I was like, "When we gonna cut it?" "I don't know. We'll find a time. We'll make it work." 20 years later, we never cut the song. And every time I run into Stevie, I say, "Hey, man, where's my song at?" And he starts laughing and starts to sing the song. So it's always a moment like that, with Stevie. Like, he's always a highlight moment. Anytime, like, I just talked to him on the phone about a month and a half ago, right after one of my broadcasts. We talked on the phone. And that was another highlight. Stevie Wonder on your telephone? Come on. How often do you get that, I'd have to say another highlight or a few highlights was working with Prince. I worked with Prince for about a year and a half, something like that. And we did house parties, like after the Grammys, after the NAACP Awards, after the Oscars. And then there were times he would just have dinner, and there's 7 of us in a house, in a huge house. And he would have all of his stage crew set up a stage down in the basement. Now, he didn't have no average basement. His basement was like a mansion in itself. And he invited me and my family up. We go up there, and Larry Graham is there, and, CeeLo Green came through one time. Maxwell was there once. But this one particular time, it was like 7 of us in the house. Right after dinner, we all went down to the basement. And you go down this long hallway, and to the left and to the right, it's these glass, like this right here. It's like this glass, like these glass walls, and the Purple Rain motorcycle is in there on both sides. He had 2 of them, so I guess in case one broke down during the making of the movie, you got another one. And I thought they were Harleys all the time. They were Hondas. Honda motorcycles, man. So, and I was looking at the bikes, and he doesn't allow photography in the house, and I don't blame him, because people sell that stuff. But boy, I wish I could have gotten pictures of those bikes. I mean, that's a highlight. I'm like, that's the Purple Rain bike. And I said, that's another Purple Rain bike, And we got in that room, and we jammed from about 2 o'clock in the morning till about 7 in the morning. It was always like that with Prince. We didn't get out till the sun was up. Yeah. And there were many times we would be up there, and you'd just be surprised who would come through. Herbie was there. One night it was Herbie, Stevie, Oprah Winfrey, Jamie Foxx, Christina Aguilera, Matthew McConaughey, the actor. He played percussion with us. So it was like, those are like, I've had some highlights. I've had some serious highlights. So, we can keep going on. Really, I've had some great highlights. And being here in Poland, how about that? I love it here.
So the next plans, concerts, and then are you going back to States?
Well, when I finish here, I think tomorrow's our last performance. We part ways. I have to go to Germany. From Germany to the Netherlands. The Netherlands to Italy, back to the Netherlands, and I finish out the tour there. I'm doing about 5 or 6 dates in the Netherlands alone. No, about 7 or 8 dates in the Netherlands. and then I go home. So I'll be home for about a week, and then I think I go to Florida, play some spots in the States. Florida, Chicago, Alabama, Dallas, Texas. I got to look at the schedule again. I just book the dates and leave it on. I don't even remember them. I just book them, put them on the calendar, and I look at it again later. Too much going on in this head of mine to try to remember. But yeah, those are the places. Those are definitely the places.
Well, that sounds really busy, and I hope that you'll get back to Poland really soon.
Oh, man, me too. I really like it here. Hopefully sooner than next year. I like it here. I really do. It's so cool here. And the people are so cool. You know, people are really, and the food is good. I love to eat. As you can see, look at this belly. I love to eat. Yeah, for sure. Got to get back here soon. The audience is like so into the music, the energy from the people, the food. I mean, I even enjoy driving through the cities or driving from city to city on the highway. I enjoyed the scenery. The buildings are beautiful. I think I was an architect in my past life if I had one. Or I'm going to be in my next life if I have one. Because I love buildings. I love landmarks. I love castles. I love the simple things. I love very simple things.